good afternoon, everybody, and especially those of you in Lowell and Eastham. Eastham's got to be, 1, 2, 3 people? Welcome to yet another version, another episode of 4th and 62. My name is John Friedman. Also with me today is, as always, is the coach, Bob Pariseau. Cousin Stephen is live from his palatial estate in somewhere in Connecticut. And a special, hey, Stephen, and a special guest star today from the Boston Globe. He cracks up whenever I say that.
Liberal use of the word.
Well, that's all right. Is Kevin Paul Dupont, who joins us to talk about some Bruins because the Bruins made a bunch of noise this week.
They did.
Even though they're not playing.
Kevin also classes the place up.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
yes. Well, there's a real...
Not hard to do, right?
There's a real journalist
But it is
in the
4th
building.
and 62.
That's right.
Absolutely. So
They made a change.
they made a change. They brought out, they fixed jersey number 30 and put Sturm's name in the back.
Yep.
And God help the guy. So that's all I could say.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the savior. We know it. I'm so excited.
I know.
Stanley Cup next year,
yeah.
right?
And that's part of the issue too, is that people aren't excited about a coach, and I get that. I thought they had a really good coach here a couple of hires ago with Bruce Cassidy, and they got rid of him. So, yeah, they need far more than a coach in terms of engaging the audience. But you do have to have a coach. We'll see if he's a good one. I don't know. I'd like to tell you I know. I don't. But I do like his enthusiasm. He is a smart guy. It will be a different approach. That could be good. We'll see.
Did their enthusiasm sound just like they were rehiring Cassidy or Montgomery, or are they more enthusiastic?
From their aspect, that's a great question, Steve. They're always, I'm not going to say they're deadpan, but they're very kind of clinical when they make these decisions, as they should be. I see their logic in it. He has had a, if you will, either circuitous or diverse path to get here, in that he had never coached, but he coached the Kings for their, I think, 4 seasons there with L.A., the last 3 with Todd McClellan, who's a very good coach. And then he went to their American League team, the Ontario Reign, that's Ontario, California, and he was the bench boss there for 3 years. So I think in all he did 6 years, left his family for that. I thought that was interesting. Didn't leave his family in terms of getting divorced, but went on his own. And they stayed in Florida, and he went on his own there, really committed to it. And again, I can give you a million things that are interesting about him, but I'll have to see how it plays.
Well, I'll tell you.
What'll make it most interesting is a center and a left wing and a right wing.
Yes.
And maybe a defenseman who can shoot the puck on net on the power play.
And Jeremy Swayman that can stop the puck like he did for Team USA.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, in the World Championship.
Not the guy that played last year.
Right. And again, I think he is a franchise goaltender. That wasn't a franchise goaltender year we saw. But the goalie often plays like the team does. The team was very challenged for a lot of reasons. We know that. After March 7th, it was pretty much an American League team after they made all the trades. So I think I would say there's a lot not to know. The thing I feel best about right now is that Swayman will come back and have a solid year. I do believe that. And again, he can have that, and they can still be a non-playoff team.
Well, he's getting paid so much money.
Yeah.
They have to hope that he comes back. And the Team USA won for the first time in 92 years.
Yeah, 1933.
Which is unbelievable. But I don't know if Bruins fans are really into that. I don't know if I thought there'd be more of a buzz about that than it was.
Well, what do you think, Bob?
Oh, about him winning the
Yeah,
tournament?
the gold medal.
Oh, well, I think he he liked it. He was happy about that. He said, "I found my groove. I know I can do this. We won the championship. I'm excited about next season." Sure, and you talked about the money. I maintain the money makes no difference whether you're going to play great or you're going to play awful. Right. Sometimes people think they get paid, they rest, they don't work as hard as they used to. I'm not quite so sure. I think they're professional, they have some pride, and they try to play the best they can, whether they're making $10 or $10 million.
Well, the only thing about that, and Kev, you might be able to talk more about this because you're closer to it, but it seemed like there was a lot of chirping coming via the press, not so much Kevin, but other people, that the players were jealous of Swayman's money.
Low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
I mean, that's an easy take. Why is the rest of the team tanking because they're unhappy that Swayman's making big money? I don't think so.
No.
I mean, they have to maintain their reputation so they can get the big money on the other end.
Money's always big money is always an odd discussion. I think there are some guys who take the money and pack it in. I didn't see that as Swayman's issue.
No, I don't think so.
The other major factor in dealing with money and guys who get big contracts are a lot of times, and I think this is where Swayman was, they put added pressure on themselves to prove that they were worth the dough. Yeah. And I think that was his case. I didn't get a sense of, because I think most of them now do approach this as their kind of individual vendors. They all want big paydays. I didn't get a sense that guys were jealous of it.
Okay.
He does tend to blab on a little bit in cliches, and I think, and that's who he is. And he's trying to give credit to everybody and trying to talk past the bad stuff. I think there was a bit of a rub there because guys, hockey players by and large, I'm not saying he's dishonest, but let's cut the candy here. It's a bad team. It turned into a bad team.
Yep.
Just come out and say it, and usually hockey players will.
Yep.
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I understand. Hockey players, of all of them, tend to be brutally honest.
Yep.
They're willing to talk, and they talk. They're not politicians.
I saw, getting back to Marco Sturm for a second, I saw him interviewed by Duke Castiglione from Channel 5.
Yep.
And Duke said, "You're going to make the playoffs next year." And Marco Sturm came right out and said, "I don't know."
Right.
He didn't say, "Oh, we're going to make the playoffs." What was that?
He didn't say we'll win. He didn't say we'll win more than we lose.
No, Dick Williams.
Dick Williams, spring training, 1967.
Right?
He did not say that.
That would have been gold if he had said that.
He came pretty close to that though, because I was listening for that. He did, he gave it the "we'll be better," but he didn't go as far as. Of course, that's how low the bar was then. If the Red Sox in 67 after 64, 65, 66. If they played 5-0-2, that was good, right?
You're right.
But Dick Williams had a lot of nerve to say that because nobody believed him when he said it.
That's right. That's exactly right. Because those were the Ike the Lock and Malzone. I loved Malzone, but we know those guys were on that team.
From dreadful. Ike the Lock, Frank Malzone from Needham, Mass.
From Needham.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lethal road, But the thing I remember about Sturm as a player, he was gritty. He wasn't a great player. He was gritty. He could skate. He had some speed.
Yes.
He scored a bunch of goals. Obviously, the big goal they showed was the one at Fenway Park.
Right, the OT winner against the Flyers on the outdoor game.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. A fast player, emotional, energy, all of that. Gritty. I think a gritty is sort of face wash Marchand.
Okay.
And again,
that wasn't Sturm.
Yeah,
maybe that's a bad.
We're splitting hairs there, but I energized, and these days would this is the big issue for many of these forwards, and this is one that Cassidy dwelled on all the time. Fight for inside ice. Get in there at the risk of getting hurt and getting your face washed. A lot of guys, too many guys, and this is often the college guys, won't go in there and do that kind of dirty work, where Sturm did. Sturm, up until Draisaitl, Sturm was the highest scoring German in the history of the league. And again, not a lot of Germans in the league, but he did. He had a number of 20 goal seasons, 200 plus goals. So that's all legit. Now, I would say a first positive sign for them would be that more guys on this roster play the way he played.
Oh, they're going to say more from Germany.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah.
You think they're going to go for Mitch Marner?
No.
Too much money?
Too much.
Mitch Marner, to me, obviously he scores a lot. There's a bit of a show pony there, and
No, we don't want that.
He'd be a luxury right now. They could afford it financially, but this isn't a lineup where he would. Yes, he'd be an improvement. All of that, but the teams I think that should be looking for Mitch Marner are somewhat in a different context or definition.
Like the Panthers.
What the Panthers got with Marchand, right? That is he really going to make a difference? Mitch Marner coming in here, is he really going to put them to over? No, they need more. They need more geekies.
Okay.
Guys who are going to play a solid 2A game, predictable north to south. Doesn't have to be stylish. Just has to be congruent with everything they're doing. I think the other guy, and again, he is a talent, and he's going to make a lot of money, and good for him. But I don't see it as their guy right now.
The Bruins are below where he needs to be.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
They only wish they had that team that he would.
Do you think Geeky will come back? Isn't it up to him?
To a degree, it's up to him, but he's restricted. So he's not an unrestricted free agent that he can just walk. So two things could happen there. One, which I think will happen, is they'll come to an agreement on a 3, 4, 5-year deal at good money. And good money for him is probably these days $5 million. Or, and this is a far less likely scenario, another team will give him an offer sheet and he signs that. And then the Bruins would have a choice of either match the offer sheet or let him go.
Say goodbye.
And take compensation for it. But the compensation just isn't.
Compensation is a draft pick, right?
It depends how high the money is.
Oh,
the higher the money go, it is draft picks. But, and I don't have these to memory, but the higher the money, the better the draft picks. But it's not like 5 first rounders.
Right.
Most of it now, I think the most you can get these days.
Gigi really figured out how to play with Pasternak. I mean, he knew how to get open. He knew Pasternak would find him.
Right.
And he has a great shot.
He does.
I mean, the two of them together played really well. I mean, I think the Bruins almost have to sign him. Like you said, if somebody offers them outrageous money, okay, it might not happen. But
right.
Bruins need to sign him.
So one of the notes, and I said this to you earlier, so what does Don Sweeney need to do now?
Well, Steve set it up from the start. He's got to get it first. Where do you start? But one of the points is the point, which is McAvoy on the power play. Either they've got to convince McAvoy to shoot, and I'm not necessarily saying shoot to score, which would be nice, but shoot as a threat. Because if you don't have a point man who's shooting, then the defense just collapses in, and they know there's no threat from there, right?
Right.
There's no top to bottom or bottom to top passing. So they've got to get that. They've got, I would say by my eye, they've got to come up with at least a couple of top 6 forwards and maybe someone in the middle 6 or bottom 6. That's quite a bit of lifting.
How do they do that?
Well, one way to do it is to move that number 7 pick or to do something with the number 7 pick. And I think the odds are I'm not saying they will, but I think the odds are better that they'll do something. First of all, it isn't number 5. If you remember, that's where they were at the end of the season. The lottery played out. They actually dropped down 2 spots. So they're now at the number 7. That's attractive for a franchise that hasn't picked that high for a long time. But that's an 18-year-old kid who's probably not going to play here for
4 years.
3 years, 4 years, right? And sometimes you get the rare kid who breaks through. But typically, that's not an 18-year-old kid isn't going to help them today.
I'm going to show my ignorance here, and with hockey in general. But is the draft deep, weak, thin?
It's not considered a deep draft, and I always go into the draft skeptical. I looked at 10 recent drafts. I was doing this yesterday. 10 recent drafts. And I don't count the last 3 years because they're they're so young. So if we go back to whatever year I used, maybe 21 is my last year, and I walked back 10 drafts. If you look at the first 10 kids in those 10 drafts, all but 10 of them made it out of 100 kids.
Really?
Yeah. There were only 10 bust outs over 10 seasons
didn't make it
in
with
the
the
top
Bruins?
10. No, this is league wide.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now, some of them were big hits, like Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel.
Right.
As typically you should hit big in that first three. But I thought it was amazing to look at 100 kids, the top 10 picks over 10 drafts. Only 10 of them were bust outs.
Wow.
Right.
See, I would have thought it would have been a lot more.
Yeah, especially in an 18-year-old draft. So what does it tell you? It tells you that all these teams are very good with the help of central scouting. They're all very good at identifying who are the top 10 to 15 kids in North America and in Europe. And then unless you want to go off the board as a team and pick some rando, typically you're going to get it. And that's where the Bruins are. So they pretty much should be assured they're going to get a real player at number 7. Based on history, right?
But it's a real player in
3 or 4 years.
2029.
Right. So what have they done? They've hired a coach. Steve, you can see, we go over to Steve. He's doing handstands over the coaching hire. So to get people in the building and excited, and you get some, get that coffee frothing a little bit, they've got to do something. They do.
If you look at the teams in the finals, Bruins are 3 years away from that easily. They are so far from that right now, which is sad.
And when I agree, let's see if we think the same way. On what dimension do you think?
The fifth dimension? What dimension are we talking?
The Twilight Zone?
The age of Aquarius?
Yeah. No, I see it on the dimension of toughness, willingness to get to the net, speed, but most of all, that, and especially when you look at Florida. Florida's just, and of course the whole series will go upside down as I was saying this, but they look bulletproof.
Oh, they do.
They do.
They just roll out Bennett. You hate Bennett.
You hate him.
Yeah.
Reinhardt, hate him. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So my question, Kevin, is there are quite a few stars in the league that were picked not in the top 10 or even close to it. Second round, third round, maybe even later. How do you find those guys? Those guys must have some sort of quality that let's figure out what it is and draft them.
And every team asks that, and it's a very good point, very good question. So in those 10 drafts, I was looking over like Gallagher up in Montreal, and if I'd known this is where the discussion was going, I'd have the numbers in front of me.
No.
But Gallagher is a prime example, a guy late round pick and turns up just being a gem from Montreal.
You don't think we're prepared for this?
We've seen it here, Steve, over the years, and the best case of all, of course, is Bergeron. Bergeron, third round pick, and look at him. So as Scott Bradley said, who was in charge of drafting him, if we knew he was that good, we would have taken him in the first round.
Exactly.
And again, it tells you what you don't know about 18-year-olds. You just don't know if they're going to grasp, first of all, the opportunity, the amount of work it takes. And that's Marchand. Marchand's another later pick. To look at Marchand out of the draft, okay, I mean, small, right, to 5'9". You just don't know that they're built that way to go through the wall and compete.
Right, but what you don't know, you can see what he does on the ice. You can see how fast he can skate. Can he shoot? Can he handle the puck? Can he pass? Does he know the game? You can't measure his heart.
You don't know the heart.
Right.
Like Brady's another prime example, right? Nobody wanted him. Yeah. And they Patriots took him on a lark, and look what happened.
So there is the talent element.
Yep.
There's absolutely the heart element, commitment, loyalty, teammate. Are they teammates? There's all these parts, and you can't. I think it would be impossible to parse it out. One thing I look at constantly, I see this in my own business, and old man alert here now. Just the
Did I
willing.
fall asleep?
Yeah. I thought you were. That's okay. Just willingness to work. Just willing to put in the hours.
You know,
You came from the restaurant business. You saw it.
yeah.
Yeah. Just willingness to put in the hours and the days and the commitment.
You know, you mentioned Sam Bennett earlier. And yes, I hate him. Everybody hates him.
Only
Of course,
because
if
he's not on your team.
If he was on our team,
Right.
he'd be, we'd
He'd
Right.
be Brad Marchand.
absolutely.
That's right.
That's right.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
did you see him the other night? He nailed one of the Oilers. I don't remember who it was. He nailed him on the blue line,
Yeah.
and then he kept going, and he nailed another guy against the boards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, those are two very hard checks.
Yeah. That's legal,
Yeah, I know. I know. But could you see a Bruin doing that? Absolutely not.
Well, Marchand did, right?
Well, me.
Yeah. And again, that's a very good point. And they've got to build that element. That's the dimension, another dimension here.
He bounced off of one guy, sent the guy, like, I'll use your word, into Palookaville,
Yeah.
and then he just kept going. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a machine.
Right.
There's not too many people that are wired that way.
Right.
No.
You've got to like the contact.
But you're right, Bob. You're absolutely right. There's not many, but that is the sport. That's what gets me.
Well, that's
I don't know. And again, if we go back, old man alert number 2, if we go back to the late 50s NHL, 60s NHL, which is kind of where I came aboard as a fan, and then started working it in the mid and late 70s. That's the way the game was played. Now there's a lot of guys that didn't have skill to do much more,
yeah, that's all they did.
but it was a real physical, intimidating game. And now, and in part, this is because there's 32 teams and you've got to have 700 players to stock the league. It's very easy to make a lot of money and be in the league and not have to engage in that physical thing, right?
No, yeah.
And you can argue whether that's good or bad for the sport. There's a lot of people, I would say age 35 and under, who never witnessed the league played that way. They see it as a skill game.
So here I am at home, and my wife, God bless her, I put on the hockey game, and
And she cross-checked you.
no, no, it was high sticking.
Two-hander.
It was high sticking.
Right here with a two-hander.
A two-hander, yeah.
2 minutes for slashing.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. But I changed it because I really didn't think she wanted to watch. She said, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I said, "I put on, I don't know,
Little House on
Chicago
the Prairie.
Fire." No,
Three
Chicago
Stooges.
Fire. We're not that bad. And she said, "That's playoff hockey." I went,
Yeah.
"You know about playoff hockey?" And I said, she says, "Yeah, they try to kill each other." I said, "That's exactly it." She said, "Put that back."
Yeah.
So I put
Right.
it back and watched the whole rest of the game. It was great, but
No sport like it. No sport like it at this time of the year. No question.
you're absolutely right.
And for 2 months, right?
Right.
So what does he have to sign free agents?
Yes. He has to make trades. Has to sign free
Who's
agents.
he going to trade?
I would say he's got to look maybe at a European kid or two. I'm sorry. What did you ask?
Who's he going to trade?
Well, it's just it. They really don't have assets to trade. They've got
Already did that.
They've got the number 7 pick, and even then, I don't. If they move the number 7 pick, I still think from a political standpoint, political fan standpoint, they'd have to trade down in the first round. So give up 7 and end up with number 20 or something like that, because they've got to build up their asset base of prospects. So they've got a number of picks this year, but no, you obviously you're not going to trade Pasternak. The one, and I can't imagine they would ever do this.
McAvoy.
No, he's on no trade. The only big name they've got they're able to trade is Swayman.
Oh, wow.
So you'd have to ask yourself, and there are a number of people out here who believe you don't have to have a franchise goalie to be a good team and get in the playoffs.
But when you're in the playoffs, you better have a goalie.
And that's just it. So it's like so you're going to be bailing out water at one end or the other. But I think somebody who wants a franchise goaltender would give real assets for Jeremy Swayman. And after this summer, as of whatever the date is this summer, I think it's July 1 with him, he can't be traded based on his contract.
So they got to do it now.
Yeah, it would have to happen here in these next 2 or 3 weeks. I'd be amazed. This is the first franchise goalie. Well, I got to be careful how I define this. This is the first time they've drafted a guy and turned him into a franchise goalie. They drafted Ken Dryden. They traded him.
Oops.
So
Oh, there's a point.
Still hurts.
There's a point.
still hurts. Right.
Right.
Too soon?
They got rid of Dryden, and now you want to potentially get rid of another franchise goalie?
Well, and that's just it. And that's politically, it could be now they're smart. They know that. So I would envision that if they traded Jeremy Swayman, and I think this is all just far-fetched, but it would have to be for a franchise center, right?
Right.
No, absolutely. But then do you go with Jonas Corpusalo as your number one goalie?
Well, they've got a couple of kids in the minors. They've got Corpusalo. The feeling would be that you could win, and you can. You can win with adequate goaltending. There's a lot of nights, especially this year. I really liked Corpusalo, and he would have been the better choice over what Swayman turned in. So
I agree with that.
I think ultimately to be a real team, look at Florida right now with Bobrovsky. You've got to have a real goaltender, but for where they are in time and space, ability, roster depth, all of that, you could make a case for if somebody wants to hand you a franchise center and a wing to go with them, and you could get that for Swayman, they're actually in a place they would have to consider it.
Well, and I totally agree with that. And it's not like the Bruins are one player away.
Right.
They're 5 or 6 players away.
That's the Marner discussion back in a different definition.
And I don't think Marner is the right fit for the Bruins for all the reasons you said earlier.
Right.
So now we're talking like the cupboard is not only bare, it's empty down in Providence.
Well,
I mean, there's zero down there?
There's Patras. We saw some of him. I know, and again, you can't be overly excited about anyone. They Merkelhoff, there's a little bit there.
Lysell?
Lysell, yes, Lysel's speed, and they brought him up. He didn't do much, but I did see in his last game a couple of shifts where I said, okay, there's a little something there. But no, there's no one where you feel, the Red Sox equivalent of bringing up a guy who's going to hit 30 home runs for you.
There's no flavor of the month.
No. And again, hockey being hockey, some guy gets an attitude in him and comes up and says, I'm going to stay here, I'm going to hit people, and I'm going to that can make a big difference in hockey. So
I mean, the trades the front office made, they are well aware that they're a year or 2 or 3 away from having a team. So they're going to bide their time, and I think that goes with whether they consider trading Swayman. You don't need to do it now. You could wait a couple years or a year and see how the team gels, and then if you need that one more player or whatever, you could trade him. I don't see any reasons to trade him now.
You couldn't trade him though. That's the point of the discussion and that's what part of the problem with the league is. There's too many guaranteed contracts, guaranteed no trades. So in Swayman's case, after this July, he becomes no trade. Same with McAvoy currently. Pasternak, you wouldn't want to trade, right?
Right.
So they get into these long-term deals, typically expensive long-term deals, and then the ship goes upside down. There's no options. They're left with, we could make a deal for, pick the third line guy. We can trade Andrew Peak. Okay. I mean, it's just not going to, it's another
are you
deck
gonna get
chair.
back?
More deck chairs.
Yeah.
So,
What's their opinion of Lorai? I mean, as a defenseman, I think he'd make a better center.
yeah. Well, of course, as a kid, that's what he played. He was a forward as a kid, and he changed, we say late. In his early teens, he changed to defense.
You know where he went to school, right?
Buckeyes?
I think so.
Yeah, he's a Ohio State kid.
The Ohio State.
I love them.
Yeah.
So,
No, they don't have assets to trade. And you're absolutely right. They know it. We know it. And for these ticket prices, they're going to have to do something to initially just reinvigorate the energy of play. Have people coming into the building saying, maybe they're going to lose tonight, but at least there's going to be energy. And frankly, the teams some of us grew up on, the early 60s Bruins, we knew they were never. This is like the Red Sox with the same discussion in a different way. You knew they weren't going to win, but they were entertaining.
But then number 4 came along.
Then Orr came along, changed everything.
not necessarily win, but they're going to win the fight.
Yeah. So they had Teddy Green, right?
Yeah,
Teddy Green bashing people around.
Clear the track for Eddie Shack.
And the league itself had that. You're right. The league itself had that because, okay, so they didn't win, but boy, the fights were great.
Sometimes I think they're happy just by putting the fans up on the jumbotron, and everybody gets excited when they see them up there. And the team, they're okay. You don't really care about that. You just want to see yourself on the jumbotron.
But again, if the fans buy it, Steve, the market dictates, right? If people go to if people go not caring about whether they win or not, and it's the in-game experience or the entertainment value, and I agree, it's the loud music drives me crazy.
Audio porn.
Yeah, the audio porn, as I call it. Dancing for the camera and waiting for the waiting. If that's what makes you happy, then it's self-fulfilling to a degree.
To Stephen's point, it has nothing to do about the hockey game.
Right.
It has to do about all the ancillary crap.
The game can be elevator
on.
music. It can.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, if you don't
Have we
mind,
answered all the questions?
I think so. Stephen, do you have anything else? Stephen, you last time Kevin was here, you asked the best question.
Okay, I got one more question, and we'll try this one here. So back in April, Kevin, you wrote something in your notes column about that Cam Neely was kind of like saying a mea culpa about how he wished he had taken more time when he was drafting 13, 14, and 15. And I just thought that really bothered me. I really got frosted thinking that, wait a minute, this is your job. Your job is to be prepared. And he seemed to be saying that they weren't really that prepared. So when their picks came around, they didn't have a plan. Am I right about that? I mean, that really upset me when I read that.
and I can see you being upset. So first of all, that's not Cam's job, right? Cam's the president. So what he was talking about was the amateur scouting staff. They should have been better prepared.
Okay.
What was happening at that? This is the 15 draft now, so 10 years ago. They really were fixed on trying to get up, move a couple of their 3 picks, and bring Hannafin out of who went number 5. That's the guy they wanted. Well, in order to get there, they would have had to move all 3 first-round picks, 13, 14, and 15. They didn't get it, so now they've got the picks. So what Neely is saying, he wishes they had taken more time, been more deliberate. And, of course, 2 of those picks didn't pan out, Senyshyn and Zaboral. And you go later into that draft and you see a whole lot of players who are in the league today and playing well. So that's where he was basically – that's his lament. And you know what? As a fan, you can get angry about that. They should have been better prepared. Hard to believe that any other team would have gone 1 for 3, 2 for 3. I don't think people would complain.
Right.
And again, in those prime spots in a draft that deep, they should have come out with 3 real players.
Who was the one? DeBrusque?
DeBrusque.
Right.
Yes. Okay. And again, is he great shakes?
No.
No, He's an okay player.
He's better than average,
Yeah.
right?
And
Just barely.
yeah. Yeah. And there were some nights he was really good.
High praise indeed.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. I talk to Stephen all the time. He has his hair across his butt about Lori playing defense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is an attractive
hate
thought.
this
And you know
guy.
what? They're so thin up front right now. Maybe they will try that. It's just that there's so few candidates, and he is a real candidate because there's things about Lori I like.
His size.
I like his size. I like his speed. I like his willingness to shoot. Not always at the best time, but you know what? He comes as I say in the old Western. He comes into the bar shooting. I'm okay with that,
Yeah.
especially when I'm constantly lamenting that McAvoy's out there for the first 110, 120 of the power play and passes up 3 shots.
Yep.
But if you look at his plus minus, they're better off not playing him.
This is Lori.
Lori.
Yeah, no, and again, they suffered the development woes there. He had some
Right.
he had some -3, -4 nights. They're awful. So he's got he should have been in the American League. He should have been developing. Should have a coach real hard on him about positional play, toughness, defend with your stick, defend with your feet, defend with your body, all of that. But that's where we are, on the job training.
Yep.
Well, that sounds like that's right up Sternham's alley.
Should be up Stearns'
Right?
alley.
I mean, that's
Yep.
what he wants. That's what he was,
Yes.
a grinder.
Yeah, smart.
Play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very smart player, and there was a lot of intelligence, and when teams go bad, as you know, everything looks bad, right?
Right.
And discipline, and it's okay. You should be better, but we're losing by 3 goals every night. Somebody's got to score here.
We're not even close.
Who can do that? Well, Lori can shoot. Okay, so I think they've got to kind of go to small ball in a way, and his game isn't there yet. It isn't.
Okay.
No.
So before we switch to the Red Sox, because Bob brought up earlier flavor of the month. So Bob's flavor of the month is Roman Anthony.
We've already had 2. We've had strawberry and vanilla.
Might as well
We
have
got
chocolate now.
we got Campbell and we got Mayer.
Yep.
Campbell, good. And then they got the book on him, and now he can't hit. He's thinking too much. Now they want to play him at first base. Leave the kid alone. Let him play. Where do you want him to play? Second, short, third, left field, or second base? I mean, give the kid a chance to breathe. Now, Mayer seems to be settling in fairly well,
Yep.
right? He's hitting the ball. Anthony, he's got a great swing. And he did that Little League Ole in his first game. That's too bad. He gets caught with that, and you can hear the boo birds, and I'm sure social media was nuts. He's the best player in baseball, and he can't catch a Little League
And then,
ground ball?
and I guess we switched. But
You can come back.
no, then they showed Kyle Hudson, the outfield coach, out in
yeah,
the
yeah.
outfield with
Yeah,
Anthony,
yeah,
like
yeah.
teaching him how to field ground balls.
Maloney was nuts about that.
Oh
the
my
next game.
God.
Oh, yeah. He was, what are they doing?
Like he's in the major leagues now.
Right.
This should have been done 3 years ago.
No, but now he understood. He already knew.
Yeah.
He didn't duck it
No.
when they said, hey, he didn't look too good on it. No, you're right. I've done that thing hundreds of
Thousand
times. Okay?
Yes.
I should have.
I did like
caught
reading
the
that.
ball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did
You know?
like reading that.
I mean, he's not ducking anything.
Right.
He's mature beyond his years. I think he's going to be really good.
I think the best part about him is his father's name is Anthony Anthony.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And his grandfather's was Anthony.
Was it really?
Yeah. It's like 3rd or 4th generation.
Yeah, and now his younger brother is Anthony Anthony.
Right.
Which I think is freaking hysterical.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
But
I was reading Shaughnessy's got a piece this weekend about the kid and the family and everything. I was reading a little bit. I shouldn't be giving Dan's stories away. When does this air, by the way?
we don't.
We don't know. So,
When Bob edits it,
but what I did like is he grew up with parents who really didn't. And we've all seen this. Parents who didn't buy into this kid is going to be the greatest thing out here. When he was 11 and a half years old.
Yeah.
You know,
Good for them.
they were just excited for him and said, well, see where it goes.
this is what he wants to do.
Right. And let him play. And they weren't projecting him to be here at this age and the rest of it. So I think more often than not, those are the kids who succeed than the ones with the hawk parents over there.
Is his mother a doctor?
PA.
She's a PA.
Mom's a PA and the dad's a financial guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Always find out great information here.
Right. That's right.
I'm stealing that from Shaughnessy's weekend story.
That's all right.
Oh,
I won't tell him.
But to that, at one point that, and I've been, I spent a lot of days in the bleachers as a fan. I think in '67, I went to 32 of those games and sat in the bleachers. And now I'm not even in the bleachers.
I wasn't here.
In terms of watching them. You weren't here, right? In terms of watching them, I don't get to pay much attention. A lot of times, Red Sox for me now is just background, to have it on in the background while I'm cooking or something, right?
Yeah.
Because the hockey thing goes year round. But there was a little bit when I was watching it, and Dan mentioned it this weekend, that there's kind of a Tony C feel to him, right? And I don't know whether that's because it's Italian and the rest of it, but that he can hit it over the wall, and he's young and he's energized.
Well, the thing that I saw, they showed a picture of him, and they said he looked like Ted Williams. And I don't think he looks like Ted
I don't
see
see that.
But
I'm not sure anybody looked like Ted Williams.
Yeah.
no, when Williams was like 20 years old.
Yeah.
So, the only thing I'll say, and Coach, you said this earlier, that double to left was a beautiful swing.
Yeah.
He made a nice diving catch in the outfield.
He did.
Granted, he's not going to play right field. Hopefully they teach him how to play the wall. I think
no doubt
Yaz is
they'll
too
throw.
old, but bring Yaz back to show him. I mean, there was nobody better, although Jim Rice was pretty good.
Yeah. But, they're already talking, the talking heads, other than us, talking about
Other than us,
on the Red Sox are going to be sellers. That's kind of the accepted reality. And they're talking about Durand is primary trade bait.
right, because they can get a starting pitcher for him.
Right. And I guess there's a number of teams that have already made overtures.
The Padres,
Right.
that's the biggest
Right.
one. Yep.
So with our luck, he'll go to the Dodgers and be with Mookie.
All right.
And they'll get a pitcher, and the pitcher will be on DL.
Yeah. Right. Tommy
No,
John.
Tommy John surgery.
Tommy John.
Tommy John surgery.
Absolutely.
That's
what
the
I-
second week. DL first week.
I asked Coach Bob, because he's our in-house, researcher.
Yeah.
And I said, did Garrett Crochet have Tommy John yet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, he had it 3 years ago.
Right. Right.
And now it's like, that's got to be the first question when a GM talks to
Yeah.
another GM. Did he have Tommy John?
Well, it's not uncommon to get into a college staff, and every starting pitcher has already had Tommy.
Yeah, that's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah.
And that sets them up for their second one when they get to the
When it gets to the major league.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, my God. Well, Pete, what am I supposed to say again? About,
Something about all the ships at sea.
no.
If you're watching on cable,
If you've got bail money.
Yeah, Bob, go ahead. You go ahead.
if you're watching on cable, which we hope you are, and you want to see the entire show, go to our YouTube, Chelmsford TV YouTube channel, and you'll see the whole unedited, wonderful conversation. Otherwise, you're looking at an edited version on cable. So join us on YouTube.
And to those of you in Lowell, all 4 of you, thank you very much.
But
Those
four
of
of
you,
our favorite people. Don't forget that.
what was that?
I said four of our favorite people.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Didn't you
Stephen.
mention East Ham too?
East Ham? Yep.
Yeah, that's
What's how do you know East? How does that factor in here?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Peter told me.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's Oz.
Oz.
Oz told me.
under the
care of
belief
last
that
week.
someone in East Ham was
Someone
watching.
in East Ham.
Being syndicated by a couple other local access stations.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
Got it.
So syndicated
Making the big
like
time.
Seinfeld.
That's right.
Tony and Maz better watch out.
We've infected the Cape.
Yes, yes. Hopefully, if you're out in East Ham, we thank you for watching. If you're in Lowell, we thank you for watching.
Try the lobster roll.
Try the lobster roll. Yes, yes. Stephen, any parting shots here?
Sorry, I don't. I just want to thank Kevin because we love his writing. Look forward to it every week.
Thank you, sir. I
Really
appreciate that.
do a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, on behalf of Coach Bob and Cousin Stephen and our special, extra special guest for his second time. So this is actually his
He
third
still
time.
hasn't learned.
Because he'll never come back again.
Delighted to come back.
But,
Great to be with you guys.
But this is John Friedman signing off for 4th and 62. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.